dressing ourselves up and getting as pretty as we could, and hope that we might have a date as we get ready for the prom. And I do want to issue a huge thanks to our coaches and our student athletes who have done everything that they could to compete as well as we could and as fairly as we could, and to be, we always wanted to be the best in the Northeast Conference so that we would be attractive, and I think that they have done as good a job as we could possibly do, and we shone there, and we are appreciative of that opportunity. I also want to say thanks to our boosters and friends and our Board of Trustees in here that helped us dress ourselves up in terms of facilities so that we could be attractive, and thank you so much for all of your support along the way. It's been a great ride in the Northeast Conference, and our good friends there, we are sorry to say goodbye, but this is a huge opportunity, and I want to pass the baton and to President Paul Gaffney so he can bring us home.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monmouth University and the MAAC and the MAAC. As we start this celebratory press conference, let me pause for a moment and just speak about some recent events. We here across the state experienced the forces of Sandy and responded right here on this competition floor. We reacted to that storm. We've had a chance since Friday to reflect on the horrific events in Newtown, Connecticut. Quinnipiac was to have a similar press conference like this on Saturday. In deference to the crushing blow on its Connecticut neighbors, it canceled that press conference. Just too close in geography and too close in time. Full credit to them for that. Colleges are places where young people connect with new people and new ideas. Colleges are places where young people learn to make choices and find value in others. They learn about responsibility for self and for others in places like this. And within college, there is no place better than in athletics to witness the value of human connection, where teammates come together for teammates, and for classmates, and for alumni, and for loyal fans. Here in this athletic setting, like no other place, we demonstrate the principle of valuing one another. We celebrate an event today. We celebrate it at the end of the year, and that's the time when we should focus predominantly on our successes of the previous year, and we have one today. This campus and this community are closer because of collective responses to Hurricane Sandy. Our athletes, in fact, played a large part in that, giving up their place and their time for other victims. And we note the heroic actions taken at Sandy Hook School in Newtown, Connecticut, as teachers attempted to protect their students. Finally, we see the danger that comes from those who do not connect with others, but live only within and for themselves. So before we celebrate this great event today, we take a moment, please, for the 26 victims of Newtown, Connecticut, and their devastated families, and those ravaged by but moving forward as a result of Hurricane Sandy. Thank you. So let me lighten it up here. And actually, two bright lights seated right here in the front row. Well, there are several, actually. 5 here in the front row, but 2 I'm going to pick on first. As part of the introduction, and I'd like to welcome President Gene Kornacki, the president of St. Peter's University. He's also the chairman of the President's Council of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. And my good friend for a decade, all the way across the state, 60 miles from here on the same line of latitude, Dr. Mort Rosansky, the president of Rider University. These are friends of ours in the independent private sector here in New Jersey. We meet often. They are progress makers and consensus builders, and as you'll find out today, deal closers. They know how to close the deal. They are rivals in our state. Actually, we're very happy this year to see Jean prevail over the dreaded Scarlet Knights. That's terrific. Thank you, Jean. And I'm sorry to say we're congratulate you on the final result in field hockey at Ryder this year again. But when we compete in so many sports, on this track right out here, we've seen St. Peter's folks, and we've competed in soccer and baseball and field hockey and so many others, even at 6 a.m. in the morning up at St. Peter's. These are a great rivalry, and I can't wait to start it up again. Also in the front row, Chairman Bob Sculthorpe, class of 1963, Chairman of the Board of Trustees. He is a resident of Manhattan. He's absolutely thrilled with all the reasons for this decision, but mostly proximity to good basketball seats. So thank you for driving down from Manhattan today, Bob. And Commissioner Rich Ensor, Esquire, and he'll tell you later on that he's been reading the Asbury Park Press since he was born. He's lived on this coast his entire life. I also want to recognize two people that I usually don't get a chance to say much about them, but they do about me, and that's Steve Edelson and Tony Graham of the Asbury Park Press. Steve is a sports feature writer, a great writer, and has also been writing front page features here recently in view of other events in our area. And Tony has collegiate reporting duties, and in fact has opened a new line of reporting in athletics finance, I find recently in the paper. And he owns the Monmouth University beat, if you will. I consider them to be valued friends of the university and of mine, and I'm very happy that you're here today. They are sometimes critical of us, but rightfully so. But I find them honest and promotional of Division I athletics, our role in Division I athletics, and I think of this great decision. I've been avoiding their daily calls for weeks. The first time I've done that, and so I apologize for that. It's also the first time I've apologized to them. But I think these processes that we have been going through rather quietly for several weeks belong to presidents and conferences, whether you think they're qualified or not, because they're going to make the investment to make this work. And I did not want to watch this played out in the press. Oh well, that's what I wanted. Welcome all of you. Thank you for filling this room for us today. I want to thank, now it's time for me to thank the MAAC for its rigorous review of self and its rigorous review of us, and for inviting Monmouth University to join in a conference that has been exciting fans and over 250,000 of their alumni in this region for generations. We are pleased with the MAAC's relationships with ESPN, with Disney, and their general forward-looking marketing and promotional and exposure ideas. We think this is important for campus spirit, for enrollment, for athletics recruiting, and for fan engagement. And we are really excited within this state to rekindle our twice-annual rivalries with St. Peter's and Ryder in basketball, but in so many other sports, as I mentioned before. And we like the balance between academic success and athletic commitment within the MAAC and the involvement of its presidents in key decision-making. Now, intra-athletics conference travel has been the subject of many articles, even in our local papers recently. We see the MAAC, our decision, and the President's Council's decision to invite us to the MAAC is helpful as one discusses that particular issue. It is unlikely in the MAAC that we'll be traveling to either Idaho or San Diego for competition within the league. That was a joke. The NEC has been a good home for us since joining Division I back in the mid-'80s. Like former NEC members, Marist, Ryder, Loyola, and Siena, all were in the NEC at one time before us, we see, as they saw, that the move to the MAAC is offering us an opportunity to reach a whole new set of goals. For the last 10 years, it has been the policy of my governing board to not beg to enter another conference, and we have not. We decided instead to invest competitively in athletic operations, to gradually and affordably improve facilities, while paying close attention to our low debt principle, and to finish in the top quarter at least of our conference. And those things I think we've accomplished. We have publicly stated that we would be open-minded should conferences be interested in our principles and in our results. Therefore, we are flattered, really flattered, when the MAAC asked to visit us and to exchange academic, financial, enrollment, alumni, facilities, travel, Social Security number, and mother maiden name information in order to consider us for candidacy. I am very pleased that sticking to our principles and keeping our mind and our door open has resulted in this great opportunity. On Friday morning, on behalf of the university, on the university's governing leadership, I accept the MAAC President's Council's invitation. And it was a great moment. It was about 11:35, I think, Rich, you got the letter from me. We made great friends in the Northeast Conference, and we have had great competitions, and I will work, like my fellow presidents here, to sustain those competitions as we do with many other regional universities from several different conferences as we pursue success in the MAAC. Gene and Mort, thank you very much for brightening this day for us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now members of the MAAC, and we are very proud. Let me introduce next the chairman of our Board of Trustees, Mr. Robert B. Sculthorpe.
Thank you, President Gaffney. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, welcome to this really important, I hate to use the word ceremony, but important event. And just to share one moment, my father used to always tell me when he was a boy stories, and I would promise myself when I got older I would not do that. But on occasion like today, I have to do it because I graduated from Monmouth in 1963, and as far as the eye can see, didn't exist. This place here that we're sitting and standing on it at the moment was really an overgrown field, pretty much like a low-grade farm. I would put it in that category. And to come back and see what's here these many years later is really amazing. And for those of you students who haven't seen the fields, and God bless you for not having seen the fields, but this place has come a long way over the years, and change has been a kind of a byword at Monmouth. And today is another day of change, so I am really excited, the board's excited, and we're all excited to be joining a new family, a family that shares our values and shares our pursuits, including the pursuit of excellence in the classroom, which I'm not going to bore you with statistics, but I'm sure our partners as well. We've all come a long way in doing what we do. The competitiveness on the playing field. It's fun. It's certainly a very important part of life in college. And community, which Paul alluded to regarding the Connecticut situation. Community is really important, and we, I know, and you do as well, strive to have a community of mind-liked students and faculty and everyone involved in it. So we are delighted to be joining you all. We hope we can play well, play competitively, get to know one another. That'd be one of our goals. And as Paul said, I live in Manhattan, so I read the newspapers there very carefully. And I know all of you get a lot of press in New York. And I'm just hoping we get some ink as well. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Council of Presidents, the President of St. Peter's University, Dr. Gene Cornacchia.
Thank you. On behalf of the MAAC Council of Presidents, welcome to the MAAC. We are very excited to have Monmouth University join the MAAC. President Gaffney mentioned a couple of things that were really critical to our exploration of Monmouth as a member for the MAAC. Certainly your outstanding facility and facilities. This is my first visit here, as I explained to President Gaffney, and I'm just blown away by what you've accomplished here at Monmouth. Also, the fact that you provide us additional market penetration in the state of New Jersey and the metropolitan region, that was also a very important consideration for us as we looked at Monmouth. But you said something that was really critical to us, and that is the compatibility in values. That is so important to the other MAAC schools. Academics and athletics. You understand and you get the appropriate balance between the two. We all know that in some institutions, athletics drives much of what happens at those institutions, and it gets out of control many times. The MAAC schools are united. They have always been united on the importance of academics first and athletics second. Together, they certainly help build a wonderful development of the whole person for students. So I know you really want to hear from the commissioner. I'm sure you'll have questions of the commissioner, I would suspect. We are so pleased to have Monmouth join us and Quinnipiac join us, but this is Monmouth's Day today. Welcome to the MAAC. I look forward to working with you. And in case you didn't know, I just want to say it publicly, you have an extraordinary president in President Gaffney. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bronco Chief, Dr. Mort Rosansky from Rider University.
I think the best I can say is amen after those scintillating words. I am delighted on behalf of Rider University and our athletic director, Don Harnham, who was part of the group that came to visit and to assess the facilities. And we are tremendously proud to be able to have a partner institution like Monmouth join the MAAC. You've heard before, but I will repeat, since education is a process of repetition, that this was an affirmation of the Monmouth community's commitment to student athletes, to the importance of academics and athletics in balance. But it was also an affirmation of the first-class, world-class leadership that your president has provided to this institution and, frankly, to higher education in New Jersey. We are all proud to be able to have peer institutions that value what we value. So congratulations to you, Paul, and to you, Chairman, and to the entire Monmouth community. We are looking forward to a very interesting rivalry.
Thank you very much, Mort. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commissioner of the Metro Atlantic Athletics Conference, Mr. Rich Ensor.
Again, I just want to reiterate what a great day this is for the MAAC to be inviting and having accepted by Monmouth the invitation to join our conference. It's been a process that's been ongoing for some time, and I want to thank all the parties that put so much time and effort into it, including Don Harnham, the athletic director at Rider University, who was part of the team, Father Kevin Mullen, the president at Siena, who came and visited here, and Father Jeffrey Van Arks from Fairfield University, who visited other institutions during the process of our evaluation of potential new members. Some 4 years ago, we started a strategic planning initiative in the MAAC, which saw us culminate with a plan that came out 2 years ago that called for us to expand to 12 members sometime in the foreseeable future. Certainly, the events of the last 2 years that have overtaken Division I athletics with 25 of the, or 26, I believe now, of the 31 D1 conferences having been impacted by realignment, drove some of our recent decision-making, particularly when Loyola announced this fall that they were moving to the Patriot League for their business reasons. So we did put it a little bit more in fast gear come August, and we started reaching out in a process that was, as Dr. Gaffney mentioned, exhaustive. It involved all elements of the institution, not just athletics, and we certainly appreciate all the cooperation that got us to the point where a decision could be made last Friday in New York City by the MAAC Council of Presidents. As has been touched upon by others, As we look at membership in the league, our strategic plan calls for schools that are very compatible, that have a commitment to both academic and athletic success. I tell the story that I often listen to on NPR in the evening drive home, the Marketplace show, and they often have CEOs from business on the show being interviewed, and they ask them to describe their brand in 5 words. And I always say with the MAAC, it's excellence in academics and athletics. It's that simple. And so as we went through the process, it became very apparent to us that Monmouth was a good fit for our brand and for our group of 9 schools, as was Quinnipiac when we announced that this week as well. Beyond just some of the other issues we've talked on, admissions and enrollment, issues related to alumni relations, to the branding of the league, the commitment to basketball is a priority in the MAAC. It is our priority sport. While we support many sports and in particular have emphasis on soccer and lacrosse in the fall and spring, the basketball is what drives the cart in the MAAC. And the commitment here at Monmouth University, both in terms of the MAAC, we do need to work on that name. It's going to cause some confusion. I suggest a certain president might have naming rights coming. But in any case, I'd certainly like to see that taken care of. But the MAAC is a tremendous facility, one that we've talked about quite a bit in our league over the last few years. And it was part of the decision-making process as we looked at membership. The commitment to your coaching staffs and recruitment, your commitment to webcasting and branding were all elements that took place to us because we have a partnership with many of some of the best in broadcasting with ESPN, ESPNU, and ESPN3, and we wanted institutions to join the MAAC that would only help in driving that awareness of our basketball excellence. As Dr. Gaffney mentioned earlier, I do come from the shore. I am a son of the shore, as I say. Having grown up in Bricktown, and I remember coming here as a high schooler to when I was at Monsignor Donovan to attend a Asbury Park Press seminar on media, actually, in the day. And I've been long aware of the excellence of Monmouth University, and I've attended many games here that involve non-conference matches with the MAAC. It's a great pleasure for me personally to see Monmouth join the MAAC, as is with my alma mater, St. Peter's, so not to forget either Kornacki. I will still make those checks as available as well. So, I want to thank personally Marilyn McNeil for her hard work in this process. Marilyn and I had the opportunity to spend 5 years together on the NCAA Women's Basketball Committee. We often butted heads, as she'll be the first to tell you, on many issues, but we also had a commitment to mid-major basketball, and there's no better advocate in the room than Marilyn when it comes to your athletic programs. You're very lucky to have her working on your behalf. And then finally, I just want to thank again President Gaffney. The process, which we did keep under wraps for a long period of time, but eventually leaked out, was exhaustive. It took a lot of work on his part. He called many of the MAAC presidents to talk to them one-on-one. He explained the mission of Monmouth and why it was compatible to the MAAC, and we certainly appreciate your efforts in driving this decision today. So with no further ado, I'd like to present to you President Gaffney, a little MAAC swag, if you will. And we'll do a little photo here, perhaps. Gene, yes, Moore, you want to join us?
Watch the hood. Yeah.
Marilyn, we have one here for you as well.
Come on, Dawn.
Don, you want to join us? Come on.
Come on, Don.
And if I could have Bob and Paul up here. You know, we kept this a secret, so we don't have any MAAC stuff on this. But welcome. I know you three can't wear anything from MU, so we wouldn't do that. But I'd love to have you all come up here.
You want to get in here?
No.
Like a Russian roulette here. There we go. Thank you.
That's great.
We do have some shirts in the back of the room for Eddie's got them right there, so all of you grab a shirt. It doesn't have MAAC on it either because we were keeping it a secret. I will open to any questions that any of you might have for anybody here. No, nobody has a question? Yes, please. Yes?
Hi, Jeremy Schilling from NewJerseyNewsroom.com. This is for the commissioner. You talked about the deal with ESPN. Now that you've added 2 teams, will that deal have to be opened up and changed and fixed? And also, how many games per year can Hawk fans expect to be on network / broadband websites associated?
Sure. Well, there's a number of answers in there. As far as the ESPN particulars, we have an escalator clause built into the contract with ESPN. We're in the second year of a 6-year agreement with them. So we'll just negotiate whatever additional games we want to add to the package. It's typically grown about 3 games a year, just under the current circumstances. So we'll engage in a discussion with Lindsay Ross in Bristol relatively soon on that issue. As far as appearances, typically each MAAC school is guaranteed minimally 3 appearances on the MAAC-funded broadcasts. So that would include ESPNU, ESPN2, and ESPN3. And that also includes at least minimally 1 women's telecast. So those minimums will be met. And then additional games are driven somewhat by the interest of the network in terms of which teams are looking to be particularly hot in a given year and what they're looking to showcase. So, but minimally, everybody gets 3. As far as the MAACTV.com network, both Monmouth and Quinnipiac, I believe, are part of New Line. Is that correct? Yeah. So New Line is our broadcast provider in the MAAC. We do have an agreement with 6 of the 10 schools that allow them to share through one price point all the games within the group of 6. So that'll expand to 8 of the 11 now with the addition of Monmouth and Quinnipiac. So that'll be ongoing. And as to the general question of scheduling, the MAAC athletic directors, including Monmouth and Quinnipiac, will be meeting in the recently renovated MAAC offices in Edison. We only moved back into them 2 weeks ago. But we're having a meeting there this Thursday, so we're wasting no time, and it's just on scheduling, not just basketball, but also all the sports. So we have a lot of work to get done in a relatively short time. The fall sports are already been asking what their formats are going to look like. I would expect with basketball, which is often driving the discussion, it's either going to be 20 games, 10 at home and 10 away, or a round-robin mix where you don't play everybody throughout the season. Since we are committed to getting to 12 members sometime in the near future, I would think we'll probably just do 20, but Don's the chair of the ADs. They'll decide that on Thursday, but I think short-term, that would be a better solution than getting into a rotation that might never be fulfilled at the end of the day. Other questions? Sure.
Can you tell us how many other schools were under consideration for part of this expansion that may be bringing Monmouth and Quinnipiac?
Well, with the MAAC, from the MAAC side of things, whether or not they were interested is another story. But we looked and talked to about 12 institutions over the course of the last 4 to 5 months. We went through a period of time where we were looking at traditional and non-traditional markets. So we thought about, for a while, looking at some southern strategies. Largely because of enrollment and growth of potential college-age students in those markets. At the end of the day, we decided that travel was too big a consideration to go in that direction, and then refocused our energy in the Northeast, what we would call the traditional markets. And we made visits to a number of schools beyond Monmouth and Quinnipiac, and The list was at one point about 12, and it narrowed down to about 4 or 5. Yes.
How concerned are you with what's going on? I think closely following with the Big East Catholic schools, obviously they've announced they're going to divorce themselves from the league, and that could eventually trickle down and affect the MAAC once again in the coming months.
And we talked about that at the President's meeting on Friday, had an in-depth discussion about membership. Schools are going to make decisions that are based on their business model and their aspirations. In the current climate, there's no guarantees on membership. But certainly we think the MAAC as a whole is a fairly stable and homogeneous group. We have gone through membership changes. This is the third in my 24 years as commissioner. So we've been at the receiving end and the giving end of the realignment mess. I share President Gaffney's thoughts as it relates to the Northeast Conference. It's not our intent to cause anybody undue harm. But these are business decisions, and institutions have to do what makes the best sense for them. And that goes for the current membership of the MAAC. They're going to make the decision that drives their mission. That being said, we're not expecting anybody to leave, but it's certainly a discussion item. Yes?
This question is for Dr. McNeil, if I may.
Sure.
Your statement on Friday talked about how you hope to stay as an associate member for football, field hockey, and bowling with the Northeast Conference. What is the procedure now to try to have that done and to stay for those 3 sports?
Yes, you're absolutely right. We are hopeful that we can apply, and that's what we will do, apply for associate membership in all 3 sports. We've been a charter member of the NEC in both football and field hockey, and have had a great deal of success, rider accepted, but also in football. And particularly in football, we have shared 5 championships, won or shared 5 championships. We've been honored with the highest academic metric for football in the Northeast Conference for the past 2 years. And we've done a lot of work in getting the AQ for the Northeast Conference. So we really feel very confident that we would be a good and longstanding member of Northeast Conference football, field hockey, and bowling. But we will make the application for associate membership. Are there any other questions from anybody? Well, I want to thank the MAAC presidents and ADs so much for your kind words. We're really excited about all of this. Rich, here we go again. We'll butt heads on some other issues, I'm sure. But thank you very much, Bob and Paul. Thank you for everybody for coming here. It's a big day. We have a date. We're going to the prom. We're excited. Thank you.